Hey everybody, thanks again for ordering the Mead kit and doing this experiment with us. We're really looking forward to what we're going to be doing today. It's actually really exciting. We're going to be doing a transfer away from the primary tank and into the secondary fermentation aging vessel. So, of course, the primary is where most of the fermentation happened, but there's still a lot of yeast, there's a lot of stuff in that liquid, and so right now, most of that yeast has settled towards the bottom, and today we're gonna pull the mead off of that yeast bed and into a new secondary aging vessel. So your mead's gonna continue clarifying over the next few weeks. The taste is gonna change. You're gonna get less of that yeasty taste in there over the next few weeks after you've aged it in the secondary. So what you're gonna need for that is your primary bucket with your mead in it that you fermented. You're going to want to make sure that that's completely finished fermenting. So we talked about that in the last video. You'll know that with your hydrometer. You can tell that it's has no sugar left in it when the hydrometer reads 0 on the specific gravity. So I'm just going to pop this open. And you can see that it's still a little cloudy. I'm expecting it to look that way for now. And but otherwise there's not really much bubbles happening. Looks like fermentation is pretty much completed for this mead. So I'm gonna attach this little siphon tube on to the spigot on our primary bucket. And you can just kind of like cinch that on there. It's the right size, the one that it came with. So this should just easily fit right on there. And now we're ready to start transferring. So this bucket has been sanitized. You can at home use soap and warm water. Just be sure to wash out the rest of that soap after you've cleaned that vessel. So I'm just going to turn the spigot in order to let the mead start flowing. We might see a little yeast come out at first. That's okay. It's a little hazy, but that's all right. And so, yeah, there went a little yeast. You can see how it kind of like goes along into there. The spigot itself is a little bit above that yeast bed. That's going to be at the bottom of that tank. So that's why it's able to get all the way up and away from that little yeast bed. So you'll see that in a few minutes here. And this shouldn't take very long. It should take between 5 and 10 minutes to finish transferring. So we're just going to let it continue siphoning off. So I know you're doing a little time lapse there, but you can always try some at this step. So in the middle of transfer, it's fine to just take your glass and just get a little bit off just to try your product a little early and see how it tastes.
Look at that. That's pretty clear.
It's pretty clear. Well, this is for homemade mead, like the primary. That's pretty darn clear. That's looking good. So. Oh, I'm starting to really get like honey character in this. Wow, that's amazing. Oh my God, it's yeah, it's like sort of springy. It's sure it's a little like yeasty because there's just like a little yeast bed in there, but I mean, it's like spring honey. It's delicious.
Yeah, has your opinion changed with flavors or what you might add or?
What I might add to this? No, I mean, I still definitely get that little bit of like lemon. So if I wanted to add like some fresh blueberry, I still would do it. Mm-hmm. Maybe I will. I've been doing a lot of blueberry lately. I could also see like adding blackberry, and I might have a little blackberry like juice back there. Mm-hmm. Maybe that would be a good add too, because I can see like blackberry lemon also being very good. Food for thought. We have 5 gallons, so we're gonna do something with it. We're gonna put it on in a keg.
Yeah, try it.
Yeah. We ain't gonna toss it. We're gonna. People are gonna drink this stuff. So. Goodness. I'm gonna lower this a little bit just to make it a little faster. We're using gravity to do this, so that's how the siphoning kind of works. The reason we have it on the stool is we're just letting gravity do the work. We're using a siphon, so this will continue flowing from this chamber into this chamber because this is higher up. The air pressure is higher. It is more potential energy in it. So yes, the energy will flow from this to this. That's how that works. Science. And now you can see the yeast bed begin to come into focus, and that's why we're being very careful to siphon away off of that yeast bed. And so at this stage, what I like to typically do is just gently tilt my bucket, and you'll see that I'm actually above the yeast bed now. The yeast is coming through. I'm just trying to get as much as I can without getting into that yeasty kind of haziness. A little's okay. Because again, this will clean up. So I'm just gonna tilt that backwards.
It's a nice sound.
Yep, little gurgle. And yeah, that's done transferring. It's about that easy. So I'll put that back in there. And without further ado, we have a transferred mead here. So that's 5 gallons of home brew now. And this again will begin clarifying over the next few weeks. Now that especially I've taken it off of this yeast bed, this will have time to make another one right in this one. And so in a few weeks, we're going to transfer off of this and actually back into the primary vessel. So we're going to want to go ahead, we're going to want to sanitize the vessel that we just used. I use here at the Meadery powdered brewer's wash and Star San. So PBW or powdered brewer's wash is a really good oxidizer. It gets off all the things you can see, like fruit chunks or like any kind of big like yeast bed, like deposits, what have you. Star San gets all the things that you can't see, so it actually will kill the microbes on a very on a smaller level, and so it keeps it sanitized in that way. So those are the 2 things I use here at the Meadery. At home, I would just recommend soap and warm water. And again, make sure that you're washing away all that soap. You don't want any of those like perfumes or whatnot like coming through and into your mead. So I'm just gonna stir this a little bit to show you what we're dealing with here. This is that yeast bed, and you can see it's actually kind of thick. I'm just gonna put my hand in there and like show you that you can see this kind of like this thick goop. So this yeast is still technically viable. You could actually go ahead and ferment with that. It's hydrated. It has all it needs down there, so you could technically start another batch with the same yeast. We're not going to today, but you know, every little bit helps. So I'm gonna bring this back to the back and just clean it up real quick. You can pick this up at your local homebrew store. It comes in a container that looks exactly like this. It's very important that you go ahead and clean this now rather than later. You don't want it to get like dried and nasty, and then have to clean it later when you're going to do your second transfer. So that would not be the best. So yeah, so now it's like the really exciting stuff's going to happen in the next video, because we're going to talk about what kind of fruit we'd add to it, or if we're going to add like spices or oak to the mead. That's where the mead really is going to start taking shape in the next video. So stay tuned for that and stay yeasty, as always.